We're pleased to be joined by South Florida Congressman Allen West. He is a member of the Tea Party caucus. Nice to see you again, sir.
Pleasure, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
First, the so-called Occupy Wall Street movement. The Congressional Progressive Caucus calls it a confidence booster. It's energized liberals on the Hill. What do you say to all this?
Well, I think the hypocrisy of this movement is somewhat laughable. I will agree with them that we don't need to have crony capitalism in the United States of America, where we have a government that is picking winners and losers in the free market or trying to be a venture capitalist. But when I see signs that these people are holding up saying end capitalism, well, my question is then what do you replace it with? And what do you really want to see the United States of America become? So I think there's a danger in the people on Capitol Hill starting to embrace this movement, especially now that we know that the American Nazi Party and the American Communist Party are also starting to align themselves with this Occupy movement.
Are these demonstrators the left's Tea Party, as some people have called them?
Well, I think it's a bad excuse for a left's Tea Party, because at least when you talk to someone with the Tea Party, they can tell you that they want limited government that's constitutionally mandated. They want to see fiscal responsibility. They also want to see our free market and free enterprise systems adhered to, as well as our national security. But when you talk to these Occupy Wall Street or wherever gangs, they're all over the place. It's like a shotgun as opposed to a precision-guided munition.
Is Wall Street greed responsible for the high unemployment rate and the economic mess we're in?
No, it comes back to Washington, D.C. It comes back to the policies thereof. You know, when you go back to 1978 and you look at the Community Reinvestment Act, when you look at the fact that government repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, so you then melded together investment and commercial banking. You look at the creation of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and all of the things that we knew were going wrong, but yet people on Capitol Hill were the ones that decided they were not going to do anything about it. And when you talk about the unemployment rate, it's very simple. We have just hit 1,000 days under President Obama. The unemployment rate was 7.8% when he took over in 2009. The unemployment rate now is 9.1%. 28 months of unemployment at or above 9%. The unemployment rate in the African American community, almost 17%. Hispanic community, almost 11.3%. For veterans, 11.7%. That has nothing to do with Wall Street. It has everything to do with the failed policies coming out of the Obama administration.
Obama says Martin Luther King would have backed the protesters. What do you say to that?
I was born and raised in the same neighborhood that Martin Luther King Jr. Grew up in. Martin Luther King Jr. would not have backed these type of protesters. First of all, Martin Luther King Jr. had a focus, he had a message, and he was divinely inspired. I don't know what the inspiration is for these individuals.
Washington Times columnist Matthew Vadam calls this Marxist mobocracy. Is he onto something there?
I think he is. When you really start to peel the onion back and look at some of the things that these protesters want to see happen in America, it is contradictory to the foundational principles and values and systems that we have in the United States of America. You know, if they want the bureaucratic nanny state, a larger government, then more of them are going to be unemployed because the bigger government means higher taxation. And maybe that's what they want, but they're going to see less and less of their individual rights and freedoms.
There are signs here and there that say Karl Marx was right. What does that say about the protesters?
I think it says that they are, once again, this progressive movement is really what communists were called back at the turn of the century, between the 19th and 20th century. So we're starting to really see the face of who liberal progressives are, being it Marxist, Stalinist type of policies, going back to, you know, socialist type of policies, nationalizing production, creating the incredible entitlement class instead of producing a production class.
Obama is siding with the demonstrators. If he continues to egg them on, is there a danger the protests could turn violent? Or, as Rush Limbaugh suggests, could there be race riots?
Well, I think there's a propensity for that. Not so much race riots, but I'm very concerned about class warfare rhetoric. What the president does not understand is that where you are born in America does not determine your station later in life. America is not about class, it's not about caste. And the one question I would ask the president, if he is embracing this movement, why didn't he embrace the freedom movement in Iran? So I think once again he's throwing his lot in with the bad people.
Another issue, you're on the House Armed Services Committee. President Obama is sending 100 U.S. troops to Uganda to help in the fight against the Lord's Resistance Army. Are there any vital U.S. interests at stake in Uganda?
Well, absolutely not. And furthermore, you know, having been in the military for a few days, You know, the Foreign Internal Defense Mission, you know, maybe 1 or 2 Special Forces A teams are required to do that. That's about 12 to 24 individuals. Now you're talking about 100 special operators going into the middle of Africa. Now this is once again a violation of the War Powers Act. We saw that with Libya, and now as the House was getting ready to leave Washington, D.C. and go on a district work period, we see the President once again committing our forces into something that the mission is nebulous. This guy, from what I understand, has been running around for the past 20, 25 years. He has not been a threat to national security prior to this, so what is the purpose?
Obama campaigned on a pledge to end the wars, yet he's gotten involved in more of them than President Bush did. What does that say about Obama's word?
Well, first of all, again, the hypocrisy is laughable, and I think that he should dust off that Nobel Peace Prize and give it back. Because when you look at Libya, you look at what's happening in this Uganda mission, you know, the fact that he did launch drone attacks against Osama bin Laden, he's not living up to, I think, what the left wants. So he's trying to do a very interesting balancing act of showing that he's tough, but yet not so tough. You know, it's once again this lead from behind philosophy that he has. But, you know, we don't need to commit our forces in the middle of something in Africa where we don't understand the strategic goal and objective.
Finally, the head of the National Rifle Association, Wayne LaPierre, calls Fast and Furious the biggest cover-up since Watergate. Of course, nobody died in Watergate, but in this case, ATF agent Brian Terry was killed. Should Attorney General Eric Holder resign, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. If not resign, he definitely may be complicit in what could be criminal actions. If we ended up finding out that he lied before testifying at the Oversight Committee, and if he did have knowledge of this operation going on, or if he tried to obstruct any investigation thereof, this is a very serious thing for the Obama administration, and it's just another series of faux pas for Attorney General Eric Holder. So I think he should do the honorable thing and resign and take full responsibility for what has happened. But we definitely need to have him come before the Oversight Committee.
U.S. Representative Allen West, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to be with Newsmax, Ashley.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.